Hello, this is mATX again. This is the second video in the same evening as the ITX system build tour. Sorry that my camera keeps trying to work out where my face is. It's zooming in and out by itself. I have very little control over it. This is my cheap Logitech camera's version of intelligent autofocus. I wouldn't go so far as intelligent, but it's trying, bless it. I wanted to talk to you about my next IT project. I really can't leave things alone, I know. First of all, I'll show you my fully functional, so there's not much excuse really. HP micro server, caught in a cable jungle, unfortunately. The beast. Unfortunately, thanks to this single fan at the back, there, it's very loud. As you can see, it's really not dusty. I keep the fan as clean as possible because I am actually trying to keep the noise levels down, but it's not working very well, and it's still a very loud computer. Basically, the CPU is only at ambient room temperatures, but the fan still insists on spinning at about 1100 RPM. It doesn't seem to have proper sensors based on the motherboard. It seems to be doing something based on power draw. And I think that's the problem, because I actually have two expansion cards in there, the sound card and the GeForce 710 graphics card. I think it's decided that it's pulling power and it needs to sort of start cooling things like a proper server room, and unfortunately there's no need for it to be doing that because everything's passive and low power. But I can't tell it because there's no board-based thermal control whatsoever. So that's a thing, I suppose. That's a thing. So although it's working fine, it's really not suited to a desktop, and I want something that runs Windows XP. I'm actually creating these videos on a Windows XP system, and yeah, I'm a huge fan of Windows XP. There is some peripherals that just don't work on anything new. I've told you about my mouse, my wonderful gaming mouse that doesn't look like a gaming mouse, and my Logitech iFeel. There we are, Mr. Vibration Mouse, and the X-Fi sound card that's in here. They just don't work the same with anything newer because of the wonderful Windows Vista and above Windows driver model and the hardware abstraction layer, which means that they can't actually speak directly to Windows, which is a problem. Hard to explain. Don't really fully understand myself. Anyway, Windows XP computers. Right, here's the thing. There is no real way of producing a decent gaming or media ready Windows XP computer. If you want mini ITX in a Windows XP computer, which is what I really wanted initially, you are basically looking at an Intel Atom system and or a VIA Epia something from around 2003, and they are terribly slow. They are awful. They are generally single core. Some of them are dual core, but they are the XP compatible ones are your 1.6 gigahertz notorious. They're basically your netbook chips from the days of the Windows XP netbook, and they were not fun to work with. I don't know if you ever used the netbook, but they were not fun to work with. They have all sorts of weird memory limitations. Some of them only support 2 gigabytes of memory, even though Windows XP's limitation of 4 seems really low these days. Yeah, some of these boards only support 2. It's quite painful. My second plan was to revive my Shuttle XPC. I don't know if you know about the Shuttle form factor, but it's a kind of a long case, but it's kind of like a cube, like a mini ITX cube. Unfortunately, when I was trying to revive it while I was down in Devon, the thing just packed in the middle of trying to update some drivers in the middle of Windows, and it never switched on again. The fans just started going at full tilt, and there is no sign of life. A BIOS reset wouldn't revive it, and it just wasn't worth trying to replace parts in, because we're talking DDR2 memory, an Athlon 64X2 chip, which is 2005 technology. It just didn't make sense to try and revive it for the fact that the board or the bespoke power supply might have been the cause of the breakage anyway. So that's gone in the skip, unfortunately. It's not much I can do about it. And it had the notorious N-Force 630A chipset, which had all sorts of compatibility problems with all kinds of drives and graphics cards and sound cards and, well, just everything really. And it didn't really want to boot into Windows XP setup either. So yeah, that's a thing. So this is the first part of my Windows XP revival system. This is nothing amazing, I suppose. Can you see what that is? Not really. Ooh, there we are. Just about. Best that my webcam will do. So it's an Athlon 2. Nothing amazing. This is 2009 technology, before anyone gets excited. Socket AM3. Look at the shiny pins. That's a lot of pins. I've never actually handled a processor with that many pins on it, to be honest with you. So it'll be interesting. I've never handled a processor like that myself. Right. So this is the first part of something. It's not an amazing processor by any means, even for its time. They were building quad-core versions of this. They were building 6-core versions that are compatible with the motherboard I'm buying. But you know what? This is dual-core. This is 2.8 gigahertz, and this is actually a slightly later revision because it's an E-series processor. E-series because it's eco, and because it's 45 watts output rather than 65, 85, 130, which I think is what the faster quad cores were actually putting out. And they did some weird 3-core chips and things like that. But the other thing about this one is it's brand new. This has not been pulled from the system. It does not have thermal grease from someone else's arrangement all over it. It doesn't have a fan either. It doesn't have a stock fan, unfortunately. This was supposed to be retail boxed, but this is how it came. But you know what? It's brand new. It's a very dated chip to be available brand new, so I'm quite happy with it. That's the reason I've got the spec that I have. They did 3 gigahertz, 3.2 gigahertz, quad core, all of that. But this chip was available brand new. The quad cores are ridiculous prices. I mean, these chips are still going for £100 or more, and this is, as I say, 2009 technology. This is a generation old. The latest generation of processors are the FX processors. So this is a generation old. This is your Athlon 2, Phenom 2 generation. But it's the same generation as what's inside the microserver, and it's a darn sight faster as well. So inside the microserver is a laptop chip, a Turion, which is a cut down version of an Athlon 2. It's a Turion 2 Neo. It's a weird made for HP kind of variant of an old notebook processor. This is 2.8 gigahertz dual core. That's 2.2 gigahertz. 2.2 gigahertz dual core, and it's a bit wishy-washy, notebooky 2.2 gigahertz. This is proper desktop 2.8 gigahertz dual core. Dual core for Windows XP. No point in getting quad core anyway, because Windows XP won't address it apparently. Windows XP Pro will not address quad core. So it's my Windows XP build. This is it. There's a very cheap CIT, cheap but reliable, let's say, according to reviews, CIT case on its way. A £30 CIT case with included power supply and a rear case fan. Should be enough cooling. I've bought an Arctic Pro 64 CPU cooler for this. It's known as a silent cooler. It was £9 including shipping. I'm not spending a lot of money on this board, on this system. And the motherboard, which is a very important part of this for Windows XP compatibility, because people shout all sorts of things about compatible chipsets. Everything's compatible. You could run a 5 gigahertz processor. Oh, just disable this, just disable that, just disable this. I don't like doing that. If it's going to work in Windows XP, it needs to work natively in Windows XP, like in its entirety. So, based on my experiences with this microserver and the fact it has it's old, but it works. It's an AMD 785G chipset in here. I've actually found a motherboard, a micro ATX motherboard, which is also a AMD 785G chipset. I've gone for this because I have actually tried and tested the bootable Windows XP setup drivers, on this chipset, and it works absolutely fine in a AHCI mode, in RAID mode, so you can actually have two hard disks actually working together, and it works brilliantly. So like I say, everything's native. The board itself is seemingly even older. It's a Foxconn Cinema 2 Premium, apparently brand new and boxed. I hope so, because I'm wanting to get all of the motherboard cutouts and things for the case. I'd like it to be complete, and it's always a problem getting used boards. You always get something missing. It's the cables or the cutout or something. It's never quite the whole picture. So I'm hoping this is, as it says, new. This board was also £35, matched to this processor and that case. The idea is that I use my existing peripherals. They are mini PCIe cards, but you know what, they should be fine. They're also very low output as well as being low profile. I have the full height headers, I haven't thrown them out. The brackets, I should say. So I'll just put the full-size brackets back on them, and they should work absolutely fine. The memory is recent, the hard disks are recent. The plan is to transplant most things from the microserver that have been upgrades anyway, and supplant them with a relevant CPU case motherboard. We'll see how it works out. Determined to have my Windows XP experience. I just wish it was more desktop friendly than this microserver big box. So the case itself is a CIT 1016. It's been around for a couple of years now. There are reviews on YouTube. It's what you get. It's a £30 case. It's not a £50, £60 case. It's not at the same standards as my in-ring mini-ITX case, but this is for a different kind of computer. I wanted it to be as small as possible. This is at least micro ATX in size, so it's a kind of a squat form factor. It's not slim, but it's kind of squat. So it's a full width, sort of a squat form factor. So I think it will be as good as possible, really. There was one slim mini ITX style case available for the same price, but lots of reviews say that there are huge problems with cooling with that case. I don't want cooling to be an issue. I'd rather it was silent, or as near to silent as realistically possible for a Windows XP machine. They weren't built that way. We'll see how it turns out. Yeah, time will tell. So thought I'd show you. First components arrived, and I'll show you other components as they arrive as well. I should be getting the case hopefully tomorrow, the case and the CPU cooler tomorrow. The motherboard seems to be on the go slow. It looks like it's going to be another week for that. But these boards are now so rare because they're 2009 technology, same as the CPU, that they're extremely rare. And if it is new, it will be one of about 2 new boards available anywhere. It's the same with these. I was down to the last 9 available on Amazon of these, and it's gone down to 6 since I bought this one. So yeah, it's all extremely aging tech, and the idea of buying things new as well is that hopefully they'll last me, because Windows XP computers are becoming a bit of a thing, a bit of a challenging thing to build as well now, and I'm up for the challenge. It's just a case of finding the parts and making the parts actually work, and bit of hope and prayer that the things aren't just out of the blown capacitor world, let's say. Alright, I'll update you soon. Bye.